Will the candidates for Hays County Sheriff please take your places at the table? There are candidates for Sheriff of Hays County: Barry Cutler, Republican Party, and Rodrigo Amaya, Democratic Party. To begin with, gentlemen, you'll each have 1 minute to introduce yourselves and your issues. So we'll begin with Mr. Cutler. 1 minute.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this. It allows the opportunity to talk to our voters. That said, I'd like to talk a little bit about my past and experience. I've got a Master of Science degree in Criminal Justice from Sam Houston State University. Along with that, I have a Master's and Instructor's license from TCO, the licensed agency for state police officer across the state of Texas, where I've been a licensed peace officer over 40 years in good standing. While being a licensed peace officer over 40 years, 35 of those years I've worked in sheriff's offices and across this area here, Travis County here and up to Williamson County. With that said, I would like to ask you once again to support me as I move forward, because there's a lot facing this county, the fastest growing county in Texas, and there's a lot of challenges out there, and I'm ready to meet those challenges that are coming up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Amaya?
Hello, everybody. First off, thank you to the League of Women Voters for having this event. Thanks everybody that came out tonight. My name is Rodrigo Amaya. I have been a resident of Hays County for over 30 years. I've got about 15 years of law enforcement experience under my belt. I'm very excited about this election. I've got a lot of experience to offer the county. And I hope to have your support in your vote, and thank you very much.
Move on to league questions. First question: what issues in the Hays County Sheriff's Office need the most attention? Mr. Cutler, would you start with that?
Thank you. Great question. Our age 28-year-old crowded jail is the most pressing need in Hays County right now. This morning we had 443 inmates in our system in a jail that can only house 311. That's well over 100 individuals out of our county, as far away as Fredericksburg, Texas, Vernon, Texas, all across Central Texas here, costing us a lot of money. I hear comments about this, and you find me a sheriff that'll take on 440 inmates. That's not going to happen. Hays County is responsible for operating jail under the code of criminal procedure to take care of its prisoners, and we'll do that. That's the most pressing deal we face right now, is the crowded conditions in our jail. Thank you.
Mr. Amaya, 1 minute to answer that question.
The most pressing issue that I have found when I've been talking to citizens of Hays County is the current sheriff is top brass. They're never accessible. They're never around to address the issues of the staff or the citizens, and that's why I decided to run. The integrity issues, there's a bunch of misinformation coming out of the jail that citizens are frustrated, and that is not a characteristic that should be present when you're a law enforcement officer in charge of the sheriff's department.
Mr. Cutler, you have 30 seconds to rebut.
I can assure you that's false. That's false information. That's not happening in the Hays County Sheriff's Office. I get more calls, more emails, and more Postal Service mail every day from men and women in the Hays County Sheriff's Office. That's strictly false information you're hearing. Thank you.
Our next question: how will you train officers to deal with those who have mental health issues? Mr. Amaya, would you begin with that, please?
Most of those mandate required training courses come to TCLOS. So it is important to make sure that you have a program where you're able to reach out to the agency that oversees that and make sure that you send your officers to the required number of training hours and courses to make sure they're able to handle the inmates or the citizens or defendants that they come in contact with that have mental issues.
Mr. Cutler?
Thank you. That is a great question. Is all the officers and men and women of the Hays County Sheriff's Office receive training on mental health. We stay up to date on mental health. And to put it to that, let you know, a couple of months ago, I started working on forming a task force to deal with mental health across all of Hays County with the police chiefs of Buda, Cobb, and San Marcos. We hope to have that online after January this year so we can address the mental health issues. I attend the Sheriff's Conference every year of Texas, and I can assure you mental health issues not right here in Hays County, it's all over Texas. And so I'm looking forward to the task force that will be providing more training. I am a licensed training academy, and we'll get all the training these officers need. We train between 40,000 and 50,000 hours a year at the Hays County Sheriff's Department. Thank you.
Mr. Mike, you have 30 seconds to rebut.
That is a very good idea that the sheriffs come up with, if it's true. There is a need for a task force. I believe it was 2 years ago, the Austin State Hospital sent out information that they were no longer going to be taking mental health patients from the surrounding counties, and that caused a lot of overflow for the San Marcos areas and some of these close areas to Austin. So, like I said, if he's telling the truth, that's a great idea. So I'm just hoping that that is the truth. Thank you.
Our next lead question. Are you in favor of Hays County Proposition 1, which would issue bonds to pay for public safety facilities, including a jail facility? Why or why not? Mr. Cutler?
Absolutely. We've been outsourcing prisoners for over a decade. This year alone, taxpayers of Hays County spent $1.75 million outsourcing, just paying other sheriffs to house prisoners in there. That does not account wear and tear on vehicles, overtime issues, and the liability that we have going back and forth across these other counties. I can assure you these county sheriffs will not accept all those prisoners. They only take certain prisoners. They'll only take mostly men. They only take low-class risk inmates. And so they're real picky of what they get. They won't take any medical issues, and I wouldn't give them that. I got a great relationship with these sheriffs, and we're responsible for a jail. We'll always have an Hays County jail. This proposition does not pass, and I can assure you, we can't run it and put out another proposition for 3 years. We're going to spend millions of dollars repairing that jail that's 28 years old. The next 5 years before we can maybe get a shot at this again. It's very important. I very much support it, and I ask you to support it.
Mr. Amaya?
Absolutely not. I'm totally against this proposition. And again, one of the main issues is the information coming out of the jail, the sheriff's office. This coalition that was formed in Wimberley came out with 64% occupancy when they talked to the jail standards. According to their records, 362 inmates were allowed, or there was room for 362 inmates in Hays County. Sheriff Cutler just came out here and said there's room for 311. I mean, that's a big discrepancy right there, and that's exactly why I'm totally against this proposition, and I hope everybody in the county is too.
Mr. Cutler, you have 30 seconds to rebut.
Absolutely. He does not know anything about running the jail, I can assure you all that. There's guidelines put on us by the Texas Commission of Jail Standards. They want us to keep a 10% buffer outside of our specialty cells. You add all this up, we can do the math. 362 minus the 10% buffer minus the specialty cells leaves me 311 beds. That's without PREA inmates. PREA inmates is a federal law for inmates that are 17. They do not need more than housed with adults, so we have to make special arrangements for them. So he knows nothing about running a jail. We can house 311 inmates. Thank you.
Our last lead question. What is your philosophy on community policing of diverse populations? Mr. Amaya?
My definition of community policing is just that. It's to go out to the community and visit with as many folks as you can, get feedback about what their concerns are, and actually care and be available to make sure that you do something about their concerns. That's my definition of community policing.
Mr. Cutler?
We're out in the neighborhoods every day, and we reform it. We do community policing. One thing we're lucky in Hays County, we do not have a big problem with with crime such we've seen across the country right now. With our first population, our officers get along with everybody. They're trained, and like I said, they continually contact me concerning their professionalism. So I don't see it here in Hays County. I hope it doesn't come here, because we work with all races all across this county every day, and they do it very good, and I'm very proud. Thank you.
Mr. Minor, you have 30 seconds to rebut.
I'm not going to agree with the sheriff as far as being out there in the community. Like I said earlier, I've been repeatedly told that him and his chief are never available, not only to the staff, but to the citizens. So for someone to sit up here and say that they're able to monitor what's going on in their office, it bothers me for someone to come up here who's in charge of who's the senior law enforcement officer for a county to make statements like that without actually knowing what's going on in the field.
Are there any questions from the audience? Let me remind you of the rules for this. Your question can be 30 seconds, and the timekeepers are here to help you stay within that time limit. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer, and there is no rebuttal in this section. And I would ask that you please state your name before you ask your question.
My name is Peggy Jones. I'm an investigator, and I've conducted an investigation on my own. And Mr. Amaya, on December 21st, 2003, you were drunk and armed. You broke into a school and pursued someone after an altercation. Subsequently, you were arrested, jailed, and charged with deadly conduct and lost your job as a DPS trooper. Please explain the incident, who you endangered, and how you would be able to regain your peace officer license since it is not active if you're elected.
Ms. Jones?
You have 1 minute.
Ms. Jones, thank you for that question, so we can finally put it to rest. My manager there has declined paperwork that was of this case you're talking about. I was involved in that incident 13 years ago, unfortunately. I did not get charged with multiple charges. There was one that was a deadly conduct. I did nothing to appeal it. It was declined by the district attorney's office out of Hays County. I don't currently have my peace officer's license active because I was working as a tow truck driver. And under TDLR rules, it is a conflict of interest by the Attorney General's interpretation to have both licenses. And that's why I don't have the current, I have advanced Chico's license. However, because of my former employer as a TDLR driver, I was not able to have both licenses at the same time.
Mr. Cutler, you have 1 minute.
Well, first of all, I think it's very important if you're running for chief law enforcement in the county to have a peace officer license that takes in good standings. I've had one for over 40 years in good standings, and I'm proud of that. And it had no broken service in any agency I work for. I'm proud of that also. Thank you.
Next audience question. Please state your name before you ask your question.
Good evening. My name is Frank Arredondo. This question is for Sheriff Cutler. Given the tone of the rhetoric of campaigns today, I'm concerned by the statement that you made just a few minutes ago, Sheriff Cutler. What's your definition of a low-class Indian?
Mr. Cutler.
What that means is like a misdemeanor, a small misdemeanor offense, somebody with a minor offense, usually a property crime, not a person crime. They're classified medium, high class, low class inmates. That's what it means. It's strictly the category like a hot check writer that got put in jail for something. We have very few of those in there, most of them are out. But it's a low class inmate charge. That's exactly what it means. It's not like a big felony property crime. It's a low class.
Thank you.
Mr. Ryan.
I think that
Next audience question. Is there another one?
Hi, my name is Liz Trevino. This question is for Gary Cutler. Gary Cutler, do you teach your deputies when they pull over someone for reasonable cause, if they feel threatened in any way whatsoever, to shoot to kill, to shoot in the head, not to shoot them in the leg, shoot them in the arm, to stop them from coming at them? You teach them, you tell them to shoot to kill. This is what your deputies told me. that they're taught to do?
Mr. Cutler?
I can assure you, all our deputies are well-trained. We follow what's going on across the world, across the country right now, and they're well-trained. They are shooting, we do not shoot warning shots, and they're not shooting to injure someone. They're gonna shoot to take care of themselves out there. If their life is threatened, they're gonna shoot. They're not told where to place their shots. When we go to a firing range to shoot, that's what we're instructed to shoot at center mass.
Mr. Amaya?
Well, as law enforcement officers, those that are seasoned, when you go to training, they have what they call a use of force continuum, which, you know, you're taught to try to diffuse the situation instead of just shooting to kill. Having taken into consideration the tone of law enforcement as a whole throughout the United States right now with all these officer excessive use of force incidents that are coming up, you know, when elected, I'm going to make sure that these deputies are properly trained. If they need remedial training, we're going to make sure that that is taken care of, because we need to improve the image as a whole of this profession of law enforcement.
Are there any other audience questions before we move on? Yes, sir.
My name is James Bryant Jr., resident here of San Marcos. And I noticed in what is reflected in this voter's guide, Sheriff Cutler, that we have a volatile situation on a national level. Would you not agree there's a profound volatile situation that exists north of us in Travis County, where a naked, mentally ill young man was shot to death, or APD officers go out and get drunk, ride motorcycles and shoot handcuffed individuals in the back? So there is volatility just north of us. My question is, how do you all feel about the Black Lives Movement? And do you not agree it is an extension of, seemingly, it is now open season on certain members of our population?
Mr. Cutler, you have 1 minute.
I don't agree that it's open season on anyone. First of all, let me talk about what north of us happens up in northern counties or any other state or city. Does not have a big bearing on how we do things down here. We have not been faced with those situations down here, and I hope that never comes. I don't think we will. However, they are trained if they are faced with that. But what happens in Austin, it happens up there. They do investigations. It was in cases of grand juries, and those decided whether there's guilt or innocent in that case. So all lives matter to us. You know, when we're making a traffic stop out there in the middle of the night, we don't look at race. We don't look at party affiliation. We're making a stop for a reason. And so that's why we're out there. So all lives matter to everybody. And that's the way it needs to be. That's the way it will be.
Mr. Amaya?
Well, sir, was the last name Mr. Bright?
Right.
Mr. Bryant, I do agree with the sheriff strongly that all lives do matter. What I don't agree with is when he's saying that there's no big bearing on incidents that are happening north of us. I have a problem with that, sir, because I have to be aware, if I become the sheriff, of everything that's happening around the nation, to make sure that we're careful and we learn from other communities to make sure that those issues don't come over here. We have enough problems as it is. We need to learn from the nation to make sure that we improve or take care of whatever issues they're having, to make sure that we minimize the occurrence of those same issues wherever they're happening.
At this point, we're going to move to closing statements. You each have 30 seconds to make a closing statement, and we'll begin with Mr. Amaya.
Once again, thank you very much for coming out here and give me an opportunity to tell you who I am. My name is Rodrigo Amaya. I am very, very determined, dedicated. When elected, I will be here. My chief will live here. We care about the problems of the community here in Hays County. We want to be given an opportunity to show y'all what real police service is. And so please remember my name, Rodrigo Amaya, November 8th. I am totally against Proposition 1 and 2, and I encourage you to do the same. Thank you.
Mr. Cutler?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out tonight. And I think it's clear from what you heard from us tonight, I'm the most qualified to continue to be the sheriff of Page County with over 40 years, consecutive years of service, serving three different counties around here in the state of Texas. 35 years I've been serving in county sheriff's office alone. And I've got the support and endorsement of all law enforcement all across Hays County. So I ask all of y'all to endorse me and join the men and women in blue. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.